我当时现场的考来的了呢，现场的那你都去搞同步，你这些他搞同步弄起这些去也别弄呢，你他去同步这些的都差的，你把当我的这边搞对了的是。
So just to continue the teaching from where we left last time. So at the moment, so we have been discussing about the 10 topics of the dharmas which characterize the exalted knower of all aspects. So we finished the first topic or the dharma, which is on mind generation of bodhicitta, and so now so at the moment, so we are talking about the second topic, which is called as precepts.
Tani pati chichi dongo tere deore, teyong ta chichi dongo te, tani ta seshek jitsi chekwi jinse ta, di ngo da, di yewa la sopa ta do deji, di nye la son sambares.
And so in the what we have finished so far about this topic of precepts, so is that we have learned, why this topic of precepts, which is presented, after the bodhicitta or the mind generations, and then the talk about the meaning or the definitions of precepts and the divisions of precept and so on.
Tatingel sheba nujire ni techichi dongo ti ngo shebe katutela ni kesi ani ngachuga ni techi seje cheta ta mano tembi ani techichi ngote ni ta techichi dongo tseni shawa ina ni jen karin do yeseshi ro tani ki topa shi chebres
kaza tershingi
techi seje cheta nieji cheta ta techi seje nieji zujuro wa digi cheta ni ta mano wa tembi techichi ngo
so in relation with the meaning or the definition of precepts, so there's one thing that we can consider for discussions is that suppose if we defined the precepts as like a speech,
techi seje cheta ta mano wa tembi techi seje nieji cheta ta mano wa tembi techi ngo
no dina yorwe techi simje ki khosa de chik de
techi seje wa seje
no
techi seje cheta nieja
adi kurang diro tsini one de sharo
tsini ine de tero techi seje nieji ta tembi techi dongo mano wa de yomare
ala tab de mano wa
kika de mano wa ja
las so in fact the the definition that we learned in the last teaching of the minor precepts of the minor precept is that the minor precept as a minor speech that teaches a method for attaining the objects that our minor mind generations strives for. So now, however, if we add one more word, like instead of saying minor speech, if we add the tabyanda sema, tabyangda, tamano. If we add the like the like an unmistaken or a correct minor speech. So that teaches a method and so on. So if you add that correct or the unmistaken, so we can have a thought on this to find out what the issue arises from that also.
아니 다 영웅도 된다도 된다비가니 세좀이 된지는 여러와 영웅도 된다된비 세좀이 된바트바 된비 세좀이 된지 여러와 또저니 대체지도 뭐 인도 많이 아니 세니 되는데도 문제 아니 드리고 빠지어지야레스
tamma novaselama no and then then we can take an example of the Chittamatra the sutras, which which presents that the dependent and the ultimate, phenomena are truly existence. So whether this sutra is the minor precepts, and whether does if so, whether it is it fulfilled these definitions.
아니 다든지 아니 도파체지다 네 니파텔라니 다 지도 주는 체니 샤디잘 체니 수데라 대체적 뭐스는지 메요레스로와 대체적 뭐스는 메요이자 다 니티다 아니 드리가 다 로마슈 드리고 네 뭐이게니 대체적 대지드는 뭐 보여레스로와 네 대전이 대체적 뭐 레 말에 마이나 아니 딱 가래 대체적 뭐데 아니 대체 구조 그걸 왜 말에 아니 드리가니 도파치 핸드와스
So this the example of that Chittamatra sutras, so whether that is a minor precept or not, so which we need to discuss on the base of this the alternative or the second definition that we have provided, which with the addition of, rather than saying a minor precept, we are saying unmistaken or a correct minor speech. So and whether this sutra satisfied this as a unmistaken minor speech. So that's the one point that we can you should discuss. And the other point that you can also discuss is to say, when it says is again relating to in the definition, it says that the precept should be a minor speech. So, and then if that is the case, then if we take an example of the minor, teachings or the discourses, which are the spoken words, words of words by the hearers and solitary realizers, who of course obviously who are not Mahayanis, and so what about the speech, the spoken speech that come from them? So whether those speech can be can be Mahayana speech also.
아니 다 띵엘라니 세세게 제서니 동어 체크비 진세세게 때 대제세게 그 녀자 다 조조되냐 아니 더발라 동어냐 뭐 녀들도 그래서네 아니 드니 셰셔여레스 대인사 다 동어 가르니 그거래서나 아니 동어라 제샤셔여레스로와 지금은 다 동보니 대만이라 되면 동어대 다 등가서 현소대 같이 들려대요레스. And then
just from these the explanations of the why the precept, this topic of precept is presented after mind generations. So that is that because it is to because the fulfillment, or the accomplishment of that the goal which we seek, which you seek with the mind generation or with the bodhicitta, which is the complete enlightenment. So is dependent on the understand on the minor precepts, and so therefore, and then from this, then the next question would be, so what are the Mahayana precepts that which are necessary to receive, Mahayana precepts or the instructions which we are necessary to receive in order to achieve the goal of the mind generations. So from this, then the text explain here that there are 10 types of the precepts which are necessary to receive, and so of these 10, so the first one, which is the precepts which instruct on achieving its own entity. So that's the one we talked about in the last teachings.
Tinzata demani kote tadingel tezi shuare tatrinsenyi kane matezi ya yunju tezi shijana jisona asomudes.
So and this, the first one, the precept which instruct on achieving its own entity. So this is instruction which is concerning the entity of the achieving own entity, which is about the true truth. So we discuss. We found about the definition of the true truth in the last teaching. So maybe we can have a further the discussion on this.
Ne tenza ta demani sedizalani demani tela teto dembato kuzu demani sheyungo yores. Tenza ta kazo tombo teto dembinzini jodizalani rongesa tupi ngesa semeni no nabi kone tupa shawa sene. Ne teto dembinzini sene yores.
So the as to the so first of all, the true truths are the ultimate truth and then the conventional truth, and so the definition of the ultimate truth which I gave in the last teaching. So, but I put here in a different wordings. So it's an ultimate truth is defined as an object that is realized in a non-dualistic manner by a direct valid cognitions that realize it.
Ani kuzu de mensinyete rongesa tupi ngesa semeninu tu chipi kone tupa shawa senetini shashawresarwa.
Whereas the conventional truth is defined as an object realized in a dualistic manner by a direct valid cognitions that realizes it.
다 때도 demba도 kuzu demba nide 시동 그런에서 도빙에서 제만한다 뭔가 뭐 보여resarwa. 이나다 롱에서 도빙에서 제만 생이데 가르셔고 그러려나. 아니 그런에서 네 도비 예듯이 이지 좋은 없이 어떤 시작하고 요레스.
So in the definition of the both truth, so we note that in the definition we note that for example, with the ultimate truth is defined as an object that is realized in a non-dualistic manner. So by a direct valid cognition that realizes is, and so likewise in the conventional truth we note the object realized in a dualistic manner by a direct valid cognizer cognition that realizes it. So, so here in the definition, it referring to a specific kind of valid cognition that that is if you like, that is the prime realizer of that the objects. Because otherwise, if you talk about talking about in generals, so there can be various types of, you know, like the awareness or the mind, you know, which can realize this either the ultimate or the conventional truth. So so here, so it's referring to a specific kind of subjective mind, you know, which are kind of called as referred to as the mind which realizes the truth with the, you know, the respective truth.
Pena ni umbig shibeg umbig nyasaji ni yet sheni yego to kanga rongesa tupate rongesa tupigo ni umbi shibala supa jogre esrwa ani umbi shibe yet she manipe pena tuni da moto bala sigorota tnola supate rongesa tupingesa samate yechengesa tni jogores.
So, for example, if you know, if we think about the object of the mind, and then there are, you know, you could have objects of the certain object of the mind, you know, which can be which can be directly perceived by a sense, you know, like a sense consciousness. So therefore, those objects which can be directly perceived by the sense consciousness. So for these objects, then here the cognitions or the mind which realizes that object, and then it's kind of referring to the sense direct, sense direct consciousness. So on the other hand, you could have some bit more abstract objects like when you're talking about the truth of of emptiness or the impermanence and so on. So these qualities are not cannot be directly perceived by sense consciousness. So therefore, you know, when we talk about the cognitions or the awareness which directly perceive those objects, like the abstract objects, subtle objects, then it's the cognition. Then is referring to the mental, you know, consciousness.
Pena pambata ul cha shawaina, ane pambarungyasa topingyasa semate panzamishe, ane tinishano yores.
So, for example, if we like a pot, so which can be, you know, directly, you know, perceived by our visual, you know, sight or eye sense consciousness. So therefore, when we talk about the direct cognitions which cognizes or which realizes the pot, you know, for instance, then in that instant the direct cognition is really referring to eye sense consciousness.
Ta ina ni panzo misheti ko pumba tupa tize ta ninu du chipe ko ne tupa shawale de yores. De yo ninu du je singite panzo misheti la pumba nuwa de ye inza kazu nuwa yo de esrwa. Ani pumba do panzo misheni ka ta jungchen da wona shi, njemen da wona shi. Ani tni shi du zeji rwa panzo ina ta jungchen da wo jimu de inza ani ta ninu du je se ne tni sungu yores.
So therefore the you know, a pot, for example, a pot as in conventional truth. So then it is an object, you know, as you know, the definitions that is that it is an object realized in a dualistic manner by a direct cognition that realizes it. So therefore, in the case of a pot, so therefore the direct valid cognitions that realizes it is referring to in the context of the I sense consciousness, which directly cognizes the pot. So therefore, if we need to think when as a conventional truth, so when this I sense consciousness which cognizes the pot, so is cognizes it object which is a pot in a dualistic manner. So what the meaning of that? In a dualistic manner, in the sense that because first of all it has the pot appear. There's an appearance of the pot to that consciousness. So that is such appearance of the pot is considered as a dualistic appearance, and then also there is along with it. So therefore the 가서 본바다 시작하는 나서게.
본자 미션이 제타데.
Now and then as well as the way that the pot appear to the I sense consciousness is also as if the object pot as being like a separate or a different from the object, from the subjective mind, subject to I consciousness, in terms of their substance, or in another word, like a substantialist, different to the I sense consciousness that cognizes a pot. So the pot and the I sense consciousness is substantially different one.
Penane tuni taul chashawina runyasu tubinyasu te yechingyasu jogro resrwa temato ushiga tuni yel shetayo mares tenza runyasu tubinyasu temate yechingyasu te jo tini tindiwi yechingyasu tingola tuni temato je ni gojada ni kazola supa noyo mares rwa tenza ni tuni la ninu na senata sewato ta tingola ninu me senata ni sunguyo res.
So if you take an example of emptiness, then it is it is called as the ultimate truth, and then the as said before, a direct valid cognitions that realizes the emptiness, that emptiness. So it refers to the, as we said before, is a mental consciousness that directly realizes or cognizes emptiness, and so therefore as a ultimate emptiness as an ultimate truth. So therefore these are direct cognitions which realize the emptiness. So to that the consciousness. So there is no appearance. There's no the way the emptiness is cognized is in a non-dualistic manner, in the sense that there's only the appearance of the other than the appearance of the emptiness. There's no other appearance, such as the appearance of for example, if you talk about the emptiness of a pot, so there's no appearance of the pot or any other the appearance of any other objects. So therefore, it is realized. It is called as realized in a dualistic manner.
Yani tuni nge su tupi nge su sema kono re ma to tuni tupi gani tupaya ro jipo no. Ani tega tingola ninu yo re esrwa. 아니 돈이 대실라 수바다 아니 텔라 고자 데마트발라 수바 모디 거레스 대인사 디가 아니 텔 니노 예 이자 니노 나바 마레스.
So also in here emptiness as an ultimate truth. So we also have to take a note here that the as an object, the object is realized in a non-dualistic manner. So is by a direct valid cognitions. However, if we take into account of the a conceptual like a mind or a thought, which realizes emptiness, which realize emptiness. So then to that thought, it is the emptiness is not realized in a non-dualistic manner because it has since it has the appearance of the inherent or appearance of a true existence, appearance of the true existence, and as well as there is the appearance of what you call as the mental image, of the emptiness, and so therefore it's not a if you talk about the conceptual thought which realizes emptiness, then it's not the emptiness is not realized in a non-dualistic manner.
아니 다 디고르니 다 다시 생기들이 아니 다 pombe chinya 다 돈이 고인 받sol라 니 대도 덴바시 제부진세 가르세나 아니 로 대도 로 만토야 니 포번요요 이시 든지 몰라 니다 덴바나 아니 대도 덴바스네 아니 든지 숨고요레스.
Okay, and so relating to this true truth, so there's also the talk about the what do you call the meaning, the etymological the meaning of this true truth, like the conventional, why one truth is called as a conventional truth, the other one is called ultimate truth.
다데 pombalā supalā tā pēnā kacū dēmbā sī jinsē kārēsē nā lō kacū pā ūshē ngū lā dēmbā rā hui rē tē yore tēnlā nē kō dzimbā yinsā nē kacū dēmbā sī nē lō shē kārēsē rā wā lō kacū pā ūshē ngū lā nē dēn tā tēnlā dzimbā nā nē kacū dēmbā sī nē jī kārēsē tā.
So like if we take any example of like a conventional truth, such as like a pot, and then why that is literally called as conventional truth. So it's to because the mind which realizes the pot, which cognizes the pot, so is called as the subjective mind is called as the conventional or a nominal nominal mind, and or a nominal or a false mind, and so therefore it is since it is truth to that, so it's called as the conventional or the nominal truth. So whereas when you talk of the emptiness, then it is the mind that directly realizes it. So it is subjective mind is the ultimate, is the the reference of this true reference of the like ultimate or the real real, and so therefore because it is truth, the emptiness is the truth to that mind, that so therefore it's called as the the ultimate truth also.
That is one the kind of Nikazu Demba to Teto Demba Shea Yungore. Things are that Kazu Demba to Teto Demba Teni, any one any Zechi Ridon, Ngo Chiridon, Ngo Tade, and Tenchi Ridon, Tashito Chitela Zechido, Ngo Chito, Tonichi, Tenchi Sene, Mumbo Shea Yores. Tade de la Tenujiga, and it Zeta de to Ngo Tade. Ani tenta de tupata de sene mombo shie yo resro ten zata kuzu demba do teto demba si ti te chinu ne kar re se ge na ani ngo chi la tupata de re yo res
and so and then the relating to this the true truth, so there's another the top issue is to investigating the one and many, right? So that the relating to this true truth, and so this is the investigation is done on the basis of one and many in terms of, like we can talk in terms of one or many in terms of the substance of the true truth or their entity, in terms of the entity, in terms of the nature, and then in terms of the talking about in terms of the meaning, and then there's something called as the in terms of the isolate or the reverse, and so the so both came in that whether one or the different, one and different. So both can be the explained or can be known in terms of there's a different meanings. So as to the of all these different ways of knowing the one and the different or different. So the true truth, we normally say the true truth are one. They are one by entity. They are separate. They are different by entity, but they are one or same by the reverse or the isolate.
Ani ta karsena ani pombe ngo ye pale ani detu ngo le tele je chire de ko mares kai sena shara nimbu ne suwa no chire de zu tomba ni zu so zu le tomba ni je mai tomba ni le chu je mai no was ko ngo le ta pomba de dembe tu ngo e re de ro a che tsanga ni ngo chi pares ta shara ma ka ne pomba de ni ja jona de le la na meno.
So how the true truths are are one or same in terms of the of entity. So like if for example if you talk about the pot and then the emptiness or the suchness of the pot. So there are the pot and its emptiness, so are one in terms of the entities. So that's why to indicate that we find in the Heart Sutra that they like for example the form is emptiness, emptiness is form. So this is to we have to understand that when we look for the entity of the pot, then we cannot find that entity other than the emptiness. So likewise, the other, other than the emptiness, there is no the separate entity or the nature of the pot.
Ta wana nge ngo tetlela ajil kariyosena pumba detuni ji mare tadere esigo yorwata kesi ji na newa kariyore esena techi shejana ne techi ngole lagruwa one pumba detu ji na newa kariyore esena ane ta pumba detun te pumbe ge chini chote tenza ne koni ji na susu shi mi ngesala supi ane pumbe chini tong tagreves rwa tong tawata newa yores karesena pumba tong tagrewas keni ji re de rwas.
So the even though the pot and the emptiness of the pots so are same, are one in terms of entity, but they are not one. They are not one. They are not the same. So the same only in terms of the when we say in entity, but not the same or not the one. So suppose if we have to think about why they are not one, and if they are one, if the emptiness of the pot is one with the pot, then just as the pot serve as a direct objects of the like eye sense consciousness which are directly realized as that. So the emptiness of the pot, which is the lack of true existence. So we should be also the eye sense consciousness should also realize that as well.
Ane neje nipa ila karayorsena teni chi suna ane pumbe chinya la mine pumbe leto la mine nyemushi wa yorwa karsena pumbala tene nyemushi wa yorwa pumbal dot maso donzala sposhi wa yorwa.
So we can find the some like a logical inconsistencies. If we say that the pot and the emptiness of true existence of the pot, so which is the suchness, okay, of the pot. If these two are the one or the same, so we can also then there's a fall like how we have to say then just as the pot can be a basis or can be served as an object which can cause the arising of like a mental afflictions. So the suchness of the emptiness of the pot then should be also then be cause be a cause of arising such mental afflictions.
Tena jere ni ta nanjopa no chi segro ta suje topi shidatni pumbe chinyala sumba gonde ngi kuzo ti ga ni pumba tonga le losa ni che gomba la mbetse she bala gipa mewa ta asrwa chinyo gomba la gipa mewa marves karisano cho pumba to tadela losa che mande was pumba le losa chinyi shi gomba la te mewa ta ni ta che pumba to chi imbe shi tade donc.
And then, of course, obviously, if they are one, then the pot is the emptiness of the pot, and so there's no to understand the emptiness of the pot. So there should not be it should be sufficient to just to understanding the pot, and so therefore we could have this raise the caution. Then what is the point for the meditator to exert a great deal of effort trying to understanding the emptiness of the pot?
Then da Pumbala idu katula supa yewa to noji pumbe chini lawi idu katula supa yoroves chopumba to chirwasine and then puchi ina nejet ne gores.
And then on the other hand, we can also infer that if the pot and the emptiness of the pot are one or same, and then we have to infer that just as the pot has a can comes in a different colors, different shapes, and so on. So we also have to say, have to infer that the emptiness of the pot should also, have different, such different colors, comes in different colors and shapes and so forth.
Then ta nejet ni yewa inza teni tade jago resro pomatu pomechini. 다 ngochi yore ngo tade resona ne newa karere yore sena yo newa kachi chitenja lus
tinza doba tade se doba chikse
doba tade se ngo tade se 들어와 ngochi 다 ngochi shago yore wa doba tade che ro
chik tade se so this explains the meaning so that the pot and the emptiness of pot are not one, but they are separate. So, which is to say that they are different, different in terms of what I say as before, the reverse or the isolate. So, which is really talking about the oneness, of the two object. If the two objects are one or same, then we're talking about they have just they are one in terms of the reverse of the isolate. And so now we can then find out also to how these the two truths are same or one in terms of the entity.
Tate dodonani ngo tade hinsona nin reme tejena ji ko resro kunin reme tejena uji resona ane pena pomba debe tunga to bi chema ji yorwa pomba debe tunga to bi chema ti pomba demba to bi denza go dundu mu ji aba ta wishen yores.
So since there are so many the logical inconsistencies will result from the by saying that this pot, for example, the pot and the pot's emptiness are one or same. So therefore, this is the conclusion is that they are not same, or they are not one. And now we say that they are they are one in terms of the entities. So now instead of saying they are they are one in terms of the entity, if we posit that they are separate, they are different in terms of the entity, then the problem that will arise would result from these such positions. Then it will then these two will become two unrelated things, like the emptiness and the emptiness of the pot. In emptiness of the pot and the emptiness will become two completely two unrelated objects. So if they become two unrelated objects, then the consequence would be that then we have to say that the mind which, or the valid cognitions, which realizes the emptiness of the pot, emptiness of the pot. So it doesn't, counteract, or it doesn't opposes the mind which grasp at the like a true existence, true existence of pot.
Wanata demani tenizo ne shegena dembani ne shiwala pen kariore sro dembani ne tenijina demani ne shiwala ne pen kariore sena ne tini shiwala ne pen chimbo yores.
So okay, so so next we will move to the I think there's what are the advantages of the understanding, or gaining the understanding of this true truth, and then what are the disadvantages if not gaining the understanding of the true truth.
Karasanani dembani teni ta dangi pinetsela na shijato chege ta yedante shege yore srowa. Tisa shijato che yedante hako sona ani susuni ta karsa javika dela muchi ta javika ta kando jila supa ludi salatni kazu demba ta dema karime sheja tendo chasun gotsawa ni yungu yore srowa.
So the main the advantages, or the points of the finding about this true truth is that the finding about this true truth is then is also like an equivalent of the finding about all the objects of the knowledge, and particularly the finding or knowing the meaning of the teachings, or the teachings given by the Buddhas.
Ni tela tene ni tsula wuchi so rowa tsula wuchi so tene ta njupa ne suwan na jire ni kazu tene shun ka bu je chapa se rowa ngombe japo tene shi un ba ta dane ki wilin ki shitoji jawe te janzu paro chu ton ro se wa teno ji ta ni sha nongal puala ni jupa ni ko no ji kazu to te kazu shon ju ji senda te to ba de to ni to pishara la supi ani 다 쇼바에 같은 소알린 다 조피수지 공부터 봐라 아니 뭐 더발다 니어요 그래서 다 니에서 그러다 다 될라테는 돈으로 그래서
so therefore with this knowledge of the true truth then which also means that then you have overcoming of any ignorance or the confusions relating to the meaning of all the Buddha's teachings, and so therefore this is also the way the enable one to accumulate all the merits. So relating to this, we find in the Chandakirti's text, supplement to the middle way, which sums up this, the significance of this, the true truth, knowledge, understanding of the true truth, such that it says here that and like the king of swans, the ahead of lesser birds, they soar on broad white wings of relative and ultimate full spread, and on the strength of virtue's mighty wing, they fly to gain the far and supreme shore, the oceanic qualities of victory. So here use the the metaphor of like the two wings of the birds, to explain, to indicate this, the importance of significance of this true truth, and so just as the with the bird with the two wings, then can the can soar high in the sky, so and go to the distant land, across distant land. So the with this the endow with this the realization of the true truth, then one can reach to the other side of the state of complete enlightenment.
Wana ane deni chinyansi de shinchi malu pai shima suna mazola nyepa kare yorisena ane di mashi pi ungi tene ta ngazo dunga la supa chasu de nipi ngense la chitawa yepa ane mashi pi ungi dunga la supa chasu unju de ko yoris.
So on the other hand, how if we lack the knowledge of the true truth, and then this can be such then as a result of that, then we would find we will become like we would be subject to various like predicaments and various like sufferings and so forth.
Karisana jitena ni mepat yepanza pena ani dembatopala super majeta chitochi dembatopala sumanza ani ya mengeji yewanza yewal mewanza ani tndiji unki gata ngazo shiwa to gawa to nawa chividu ngala super tndiji unju yore serva.
So it is said that in the world all the sufferings that and the misery which we find in the life, in this worldly existence, so it's all caused by the all like really rooted in the our wrong views, a wrong view of either of like a holding something which is existent as non-existent, or something which is non-existent as an existence, and so this is all all these extremes view. So this is all the associated with the our confusions or the lack of knowledge about this the true truth.
Ta pena ngazo ta nonjine ta garwa ta pena kundola sopa che ani ta dechola sopa tani che sona sheze jinse karesena paro wate nipinese la chitawa jita yewa hama ko che di ten nipinese de hama ko ne kundola sopa che ga yorwas o te she di ko resrwa.
So just as even in our everyday life, like if we investigate into the cause of this, why we generate like a attachment, or the some like a hatred, or anger. So then the cause, really the main cause is our is our misconceptions of the way the thing they exist in the realities. So because of this, because of the misconceptions, so we can say we become attached or obsessed with things, or we generate feeling of like the anger or the hatred towards the things.
Teno jene jupalet ni sunjoris deni noye kungi mshepa ten noto lupe longye shu sen de mani noye shimasuna da demba trabanz palaso denza noto ni lupilon sugres ne tani sungures.
So so we can also find in this Chandakriti's text a supplement to the middle way, where it says, so those who do not know the distinction between true truth, so they enter the wrong path of misconceptions. So this line also points out that how all our the misconceptions and the confusions is all all related to our our lack of knowledge of the true truth also.
Tena jiga lope le denje chini yundo kuzu no chi kies me pa yudo kumbai tin ze pa shawana kela ro mai nos te karise gorsena te kumbe tugan ro wala kel tenen rokwa kenzal ten rokwa resrwa kenza me pa ne tugan ro me wa tena jiga ani kuzu to te to me ne zo yudo pa shima sona ane da zo be suji kumula so pa to ta mare sen shi.
Then there's also there's one statement by the great Acharya Bhavaviveka, in his text, the essence of the middle way. So where the Bhavaviveka also said that it is not a way of the wise person or wise to climb the real house without using the real stair of the conventional truth. So again, so this is also to the to pointing out, the significant or the benefits of the realizing the true truth.
Ta dingela ne dongol cheso dongol cheknu ne tombo ne demani la tambi dongote tate di dijin rosa wikicha isrowa.
So with this we will just with this brief the explanation on the true truth. So we will we will assume that we finish the first precepts, which is the precept which instruct on achieving its own entity. So that is about the true truth.
Wanata nipa de karresena demba no to na sene tika sa kar sungu resena ne jiwe mi pa demba jete shengu res.
And now the next second precepts, which is the precepts which instruct on the object of observation, the four truths. So this one in the, if you refer to the root text, so you find it in the first line, which says concerning achieving. So that's achieving. That's there's a word achieving, which indicates the precept which instruct on achieving its own entity. And now that's the first precept, and now the second precept, which is indicated by this word, the truth, and that is the precepts which instruct on the object of observation, the four truths.
Karresena demba nila dombi donga la tene ni demba nite shinjimaluwa shisa sona ta ni demba shila supanju ne nyole lenju ku yores tiche da ne demba shisu ko res rwa.
So as the order of this presentation goes, so after having understood the meaning of the true truth, then the next one, which is the presence on the precepts, which instruct on the object of observation, the four truths. So then you this is to say that then one must find out about the Four Noble Truths, and then they applied these Four Noble Truths in one's practice also.
다 덴바제는 땅가 소용도래 하고로 dunga 덴바 근주 덴바 고베 덴바 로한 덴바 지데레스로.
So Four Noble Truths, which you all are familiar with, so that which are the noble truth of sufferings and the cause of suffering, and the cessation of the suffering, and then the truth of the path to the to cessations.
아니 다디 덴바 지게 치절 아니 덴바스네 지에정도 와스로와 덴바스디 가르스나 네 덴베가 수라래 숨바다데 네 대라네시 대냐 또서 공바다 공바 용이 세와이나 아니 다 도와드는 수지 도발라 수바 예인자 아니 디체다니 덴바스네 시여요레스 시에바다 대라네데 자 수라래 시에바다 대라네데 자 덴바스.
So in these four truths, so are also normally named as the Four Noble Truths, and so the reason why these four are called as truth or noble truth, so that is to indicate that these these four are true, are realities, just as they are realized by our noble beings, or just as they are taught by the noble beings, and so as they are truth in that sense, and then also by the following these the four into practice, then then that will lead one to the state of the liberation and the complete enlightenment, and so we can also understand the truth in terms of the reaching in terms of achieving the supreme state of liberation or the enlightenment.
포페 덴바지스네 드니 송고요레스 안다 포페 덴바지스 그래서는 포페 노치니 다 dunga 도kun줄라 소파 보자인 바다 아니 인고데 고데도 라델라 소파니 도자인 바 지바다 대나 내외나 아니 포페 덴바스네 아니 드니 송고요레스.
Yeah, and then in the other some the texts, some scripture that's also explained that why they are called the Four Noble Truth, or the Four Noble or the Arya Truth, is because they are the first, like of the four, the two are the object to be eliminated, and then the other two are object to be realized. So these are the seen, or realized as by the superior or by the noble or the Arya being, and accordingly as it's the accord with the reality, accordingly as it is true, it becomes a truth. So therefore, it's also explained that that's what is also called the Four Arya or the noble truth also.
다 대들이 요절을 맞도 때마다 못 사마리스로와 아니 이마들 마탈 안로셔고스로와.
Okay, so maybe we leave tonight's teaching here. Thank you.
전주 전주 romboje 마제 바노제 제와 뇽바 메바이 고네 곤다 배와 쇼